loan to value and loan to cost. Just the simple calculation for Integrity Capital and just as a whole is this. What is the loan amount that the borrower is looking for? And then you divide that by the total cost or the value of the property. And so you say, well, what does that mean, value versus cost? Well, if you're building something or it's a renovation, then you're really just going to take what is the total cost. What is the land amount? What is the vertical construction, the soft costs, interest carry, everything that's involved in this. You can kind of see all these costs right here is 12.2, almost $12.3 million. And then you can kind of see here that you've got a bank loan, at 48%, 34%, and then 18%. There's a little bit of a discrepancy between loan to value and loan to cost here, but so what you're doing is you're taking these two loans and dividing it by the total cost here to come up with 85% of the cost. Now, the way lenders look at it is they say, well, we'll lend you, usually, not always, typically it's a little bit higher on the cost because they know the value is always going to be higher than the cost, generally speaking. Sometimes it's not. But once they get the appraisal back and the property is stabilized, then that loan to value at the stabilization might be, 75%. So it's important that you distinguish between the elements. But if it's a purchase property and it's an existing building, you're just going off of whatever the loan to purchase is or the loan to cost, because that's the cost of the building. If the valuation comes in higher than the purchase price, it's really irrelevant because the lender's not going to go higher than the actual cost. Now, conversely, if the appraisal comes in lower, they will go off of that value. And because they're always going to say this, we will go off of, 75% of the purchase price or 75% of the value, and here's the key, whichever's less. So if the valuation comes in lower than the purchase price, then they will only give you 75% of the actual value, because the lender is not going to lend more than what it appraises for, but they're never going to exceed what the cost is. So they're always going to stick with the more conservative amount, which is typically the lower of the two. If it's a refinance, it's the same thing. They'll lend you the loan amount that they think they have based upon the valuation, but if the valuation comes in less, then they're going to go back to their valuation as amount. Now, in some instances, they might actually just say, on a refinance, we'll give you 75% of whatever the thing appraises for. Well, if it appraises more than you think it is, then great. But that's the major idea behind loan to value and loan to cost. Now, it's important, just as an asterisk or a footnote, that when you, if the debt service coverage ratio doesn't work and it's at 75% or whatever the loan to value they say, then you're constrained by the debt service coverage. So let's say they need a 125, and if you're at 75% loan amount, you're at a 120 debt service coverage ratio, which is lower, then it's not going to work. It means the max they'll do is offer the 125, which means you're going to have to lower the loan amount. Henceforth, the loan to value goes down. So you're always constrained by cash flow, generally speaking. So that just gives you a little idea on loan to value, loan to cost as you're getting educated on those